Welcome to Passion Time. I'm Patricia Gras. I'm here with Lisa Falkenberg. She's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. That's right. She's the first one to win a Pulitzer for the Houston Chronicle as a columnist, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I want to ask you about that first experience because I'm sure winning a Pulitzer changes your life, right? You don't stop giving speeches and talking to people and they want to touch you and feel you. But I want to know for you, before we start, because this show is named Passion Time, is how do you live your passion? How did you find your passion?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've always loved to write, and when I was a kid, I used to write poems and, my little novels that my mother would accuse me of plagiarizing. She said, you couldn't possibly have written them.
Really?
And so when I got to high school, I took my first journalism class, and we studied this pioneering female journalist named Nellie Bly. And one of the things that she did was she wanted to expose some of the abuse or the atrocities in the mental hospitals. Yes. And so she gets herself checked in over there and committed and is able to write about the experience from the inside. And that really inspired me. I mean, here is a career that allows you not only to write, but to ask as many questions as you want. People don't have to answer them, but at least you can ask them. Mm-hmm. And you can also help people. You can make the world better. That sounds so Pollyanna when I say that. No, but it's true. It is that's how I feel. So it's a very fulfilling. It's a way to get meaning. I get a lot of meaning from my family and my children, but it is another kind of meaning altogether to have a career where you feel like you're helping somebody. Every day. I mean, one of the most amazing things, fulfilling things, is when readers write to me and say, I start my days with you. I look to you to say the things that I wish I could say or that I'm thinking. Some people say, I never agree with anything you say, but I enjoy the way you say it. And my favorite ones are the ones who say, I don't always agree with you, but you make me think, which I think is the most important role of a journalist.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, you obviously are doing a great job as a journalist. You won a Pulitzer for commentary, and you changed some things with the grand jury system in Texas. Can you sort of walk us through the process? I'm sure you've talked to many, many people about this. Walk us through the process of how this all started and the consequences of your writing.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me tell you, it will be far easier to explain it to you than it was yesterday when I was talking to my daughter's kindergarten class.
Oh boy!
And I have to explain what a grand jury is and what a death row inmate is. No, I tried to avoid that.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so this was not a secret to anybody in Texas that we had a system that people called pick-a-pal. That's the derogatory term. The official is called key man system, where grand jurors in Texas were not chosen randomly like we choose trial jurors. Right. Judges could pick friends who could pick other friends to be on the grand juries. The result was grand juries that were kind of, elitist, law enforcement friendly. You ended up with a lot of police officers serving. And so my colleagues at the Houston Chronicle have been writing about this for decades. There's been, activists in Houston who have been protesting.
Complaining about it, yeah.
And nothing was really ever done. Even the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, said that it was vulnerable to abuse. Nothing was done, in my opinion, because there was never any proof of how it was being abused. Okay. Well, along came this case. It was the case of Alfred Dwayne Brown, who was a man who was convicted of killing a police officer, Charles R. Clark, a Houston police officer. This story came to me. It was supposed to be one column. It was actually a friend of mine, Pam Colliff at Texas Monthly, who had emailed me and said, Lisa, this might be interesting. This man, there was some evidence that showed that he may not have committed the crime that was found in a police officer's garage years after he was sent to death row. And the prosecutors have agreed that evidence should have been turned over. They've agreed to a new trial. It's just sitting there. He's sitting on death row while the appeals court in Austin was doing nothing. And so I wrote a column just saying, give this guy a new trial. Right. Don't make him just wait for it. Give him a new trial as soon as possible. Of course they listened to me. No, they
course.
didn't. But after I wrote that first column, something bothered me. I thought I had run across something in the record saying that there had been an alibi witness who had his girlfriend at the time, who had said, yes, he was where he said he was when he said he was there. He did make a phone call to me from a landline from my home, so he couldn't have been at the murder scene or with the murderers hanging out scoping the venue, whatever, the place where the murder was committed, which was a check cashing store. But she went from saying that to ultimately testifying against him,
yes,
and helping him get the death penalty.
Really strange.
How did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the courthouse. Not all answers are found on Google or the internet these days. Sometimes
that's too bad.
You got to go to the courthouse. And I spent quite a few hours there looking at a file that was about this thick. And the last thing I laid my hands on was a transcript about this thick. The transcript was said on the front, grand jury transcript, which I thought, okay, this is not something that I've ever seen, because grand juries are secret. They're not even supposed to discuss what evidence or deliberations, anything, what goes on inside that closed room. And so I kind of, when I ran across that thing, I kind of looked both ways, to make sure the clerk wasn't coming to take it away from me.
Exactly.
But as I was reading it, I was shocked, appalled, disgusted, angry. The grand jury itself, and especially the foreman, had bullied this alibi witness, the girlfriend, throughout the whole testimony before the grand jury, threatening to take away her children, saying that she would never get a job flipping burgers, she would be arrested if she didn't change her story. Now, of course, they were telling her, tell the truth, that's how they phrased it. But there's parts of it where they're just, it's just kind of, oh, darling, we care about your children. This is all about your children. Just do the right thing, right thing. She's feeling a lot of pressure. Of course, the question to me was not only how does something like this happen and the prosecutor just sits there and lets them do this, but who is this foreman? I couldn't tell who anybody else talking was in the transcript, but I could try to figure out who the foreman was. And it turns out, once I got his name, that this man ended up being a police officer himself. So the man leading the investigation in a police officer's murder was his colleague at the Houston Police Department. And so I don't know if maybe there are people out there who feel like they could be fair. If your colleague was murdered, you could oversee the investigation. I don't think I could. No. And so right from the get-go, the deck was stacked the way that I see it. It's a very emotional thing when a police officer is killed, especially when it's your colleague. So the witnesses were not treated fairly. There were, due process violations, and that the evidence wasn't turned over the way it should have been that supported the defense. So I started thinking, all right, at this point, how does a police officer end up heading a grand jury in a case like this? And I realized this isn't uncommon for police officers to serve because of this system, the pick-a-pal system. Right. So I started writing about it, and it turns out this particular grand foreman had served several times, and so there were frequent flyer grand jurors who just basically became kind of semi-professional,
grand jurors.
Right, where the whole purpose of the grand jury system is supposed to be fairness. Just citizens, and people who are not jaded, people who are not too familiar with the process, who can bring some common sense from the outside. And so that reporting, I think, that transcript was the first proof, the first evidence that the lawmakers and, the people who make the policy in the state could see that would show them we need some reform. And so that session, the next legislative session following, Senator John Whitmire took the lead on it. And they managed to get reform done, and Texas became the last state in the union to ban pick-a-pal grand juries in criminal cases. That's what I call it. That's what people who don't like it call it.
Wow.
And I should say, as a caveat, there were judges who were trying to do the right thing, who were acting within the law to make the grand jury as diverse as possible. They were reaching out to communities, people they didn't know, diverse communities, to try to get a grant.
Right.
There were
Fair.
people who were doing it fairly,
Right.
as fairly as they could. My argument that why we had to change the system is we can't just trust that everybody's going to do the right thing, that every judge is going to do the right thing. We should have a system where it is, required to err on the side of fairness.
Now, I want to ask you, because obviously what's really important here is that you did change the way the grand jury system worked in Texas after your articles and your commentary. Have you seen some of the consequences of that? For example, we recently had a case with Planned Parenthood. Obviously, political climate is not in favor of Planned Parenthood here in Texas, generally speaking. But somehow that system seems to have worked, do you think?
Some people have tried to give me some credit for that. I don't actually know. I know that the grand jury was chosen randomly. I don't know, because it was chosen at the end of last year, if they followed the new law to a T. So I'm not going to take credit for it. I'm just going to say that I had a sense, because of this new law, that I have more trust in that decision than I would have otherwise. I mean, who knows? Maybe another grand jury under the old system would have come to the same conclusion. It did appear that on this one, the prosecutor stood back, presented the evidence, and wasn't leaning on anybody to do a certain thing.
Exactly.
I mean, we all know it was not in the pro-life Republican district attorney's interest to have that decision.
Right.
But so I think that the credit goes to her office for handling it fairly, apparently, and then perhaps some credit goes to the new law, which gives us more confidence in that the system's working the way it should.
All right, Lisa Falkenberg, thank you so much for the work that you do. And if people want to read her commentary, of course, subscribe to the Houston Chronicle and read her commentary. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next week on Passion Time.
Yo sé que tú puedes, que tú eres capaz. Cambia tu vida. La vida es una y tú vas a triunfar. Cambia tu vida. Con fe y esperanza, las puertas